Hey y'all, today I've got my acoustic guitar out and I'm going to have a lesson on the acoustic guitar with you. We're going to focus on inversions on the first 4 strings again. Today we're going to look at the 4 drop 2 inversions of the major 7 chord. I know it sounds really technical, but before I even get into all of that, I want to talk a minute just about practice and practice habits in general. Not everybody has the same amount of time to put into practice. For some people, they have to wake up early in the morning to get their time in. Other people like to practice at night while watching TV when they don't have to focus as much on it. Some people are very diligent and they have a roster of things they try to hit every time that they practice. Other people just pick up the guitar and enjoy to play. All of those are good, and I feel like any time you spend on your instrument is going to help you in your path to improvement, but your improvement curve depends on what you're going to put your time into while you have the instrument in your hand. There's also a situation where sometimes maybe you haven't played for a couple days. It happens to everybody. In the 30 plus years that I've been playing, there's probably been a couple days when I didn't play guitar here and there. But when you pick up the guitar after a couple days of not playing, sometimes you feel like your chops aren't there. I might prescribe to you the solution to getting your chops back in a quick order is picking up your steel string acoustic and playing 45 minutes to an hour for at least 2 to 3 days in a row. I assure you, if you put 2 or 3 days of time into an acoustic guitar, your chops will return and in quick order. So if you're up for it, grab your acoustic guitar, practice along with me. The worst thing that could happen is you might learn something. I want to start today by explaining into a little bit more detail what a drop 2 inversion refers to. Perhaps you've heard of these terms, drop 2 inversions, drop 3 inversions. They're all different kinds of inversions on the guitar neck. The drop 2 is typically 4 consecutive strings in a row with no breaks, where you're playing just the 4 essential notes of the chords. That's essentially what we're doing. It gets its name drop 2 because it's an open voiced chord. That means that the lowest note to the highest note spans greater than 1 octave. If I'm in a closed voicing major 7 chord, for instance, this C major 7 on the 7th fret, closed voicing refers to that my highest note and my lowest pitch are within 1 octave of each other. In many ways, this is what you would think of as a piano inversion of a major 7. It's all in thirds. What I'm suggesting that you do is look at the 4 notes that we're playing as 4 separate voices. The first voice would be the high E string. The second voice would be on the 2nd string, 3rd voice and 4th voice, and so on. When I'm playing a drop 2 inversion, what I'm literally doing is taking the 2nd voice and dropping it down 1 octave. In this case, I'm playing B, G, E, C. So I'm going to keep my 3 notes in the same order, but the G is the one that's going to drop down. So I'm going to switch my fingering to match that by playing B on top, E, C on the 2nd and 3rd strings now, and then my G down an octave. And that's a drop 2 voicing. When I take a further study of these inversions, I'm actually going to start on the lowest inversion on the neck, and I'm doing these in C major today, although I'm going to show you a progression doing them in the key of D just to change it up a little bit. This is literally my first inversion. It's not the first inversion because it's the first one I'm playing on the neck, but first because my 3rd is the lowest note. On this inversion, specifically on the 1st fret, it's the hardest to grab quickly, but you might note what I'm doing is I'm playing E and B on the 4th and 3rd strings, and then C and G on the 1st and 2nd strings. By playing that dissonant interval inside of 2 consonant intervals, the dissonance is kind of forgiven. When I move up to 5th position, you'll see I'm playing a C triad here, and then I'm playing my major 7 on top. This is the drop 2 that I exampled in discussing the voicing itself. This again is a 2nd inversion triad because my 5th, which is G, is the lowest note. I'm spelling it G, C, E, B. For my next inversion on the neck, you'll see the C 1st inversion triad on my top 3 strings, and what I'm doing is I'm playing a B beneath that, which is my major 7th. That makes this a 3rd inversion triad, 3rd inversion because the 7th is the lowest in pitch. Here I have the root on top. To take a slight diversion from the shape 2, if you're familiar with your major 7 drop 3 shape off the 6th string, this drop 2 shape is using all of the same notes, but we're taking our root from the low E and placing it on the high E. The next inversion that we'll have up on the neck for the C major 7s is going to be a root position C major 7 chord, where my root is on the 4th string. And then you'll see on these 3 strings, I'm almost playing an E minor shape, which is the next 3 notes of the major 7 chord. The spelling on this is C, G, B, E. Here I'm going to go through the same major 7 chords, although I'm going to bring them up a whole step to the key of D just to change things up a bit. And I'm going to connect them to 4 chords, 4 major 7 chords, so that we can see what the chord shapes look like if I'm switching between 2 chords in the same positions roughly. This is the first inversion D major 7. It's the first one that I played on the C example. My 4 chord in the key of D would be G major 7. I'm going to connect this to my 3rd inversion G major 7, which would be right here on 3rd fret. So again, if I connect these 2 shapes here, D major 7, G major 7. It's not a lot of excitement in those voicings, but at least you can hear what they sound like. The next 2 inversions that I'm going to go up the neck on are going to do this major 7. In this case, my major 7 is on top, so it's a little bit more colorful with the voicing. The G major 7 that's right next to it would be the root position G on 5th fret. And again, this has the 3rd on top. The 3rds and the 7s tend to give it a little bit more color when you're hearing those back to back. The next inversions up the neck are going to take me to my 3rd inversion D major 7, which has a C sharp on the 4th string, and my D or my D triad on the first 3 strings. I would connect that to the 1st inversion G on the 8th fret. Here I'm playing 9, 11, 8, 10 in terms of the fret numbers. I'll play those again so you can hear them. A little bit more colorful, although to me that major 7 with the root on top doesn't always have a lot of color to it. But our G major 7 sure does. The next inversions I'm going to play up to, which are going to take me right up to where my acoustic body meets the neck, since I have no cutaway on this guitar, is going to be in 12th position. This would be my root position D major. It has a pretty cool sound up there. Again, I'm playing the 3rd on top, which gives it that color that you're hearing. And then my G major 7 here is just a bar on the 12th fret, playing F sharp or the 14th fret on a high E.